So at the top, Cronje was leading from the polos of Keen and Habig, and in production cars, Latergan was impressive to lead from Duplessis and Wilken. But further down the field, the drivers were also giving their all. In the rapid and top two-wheel drive Class A7, Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin in the PP Ultimate Polo set the initial pace from the NetConnect Polo driven by Adrian Karth and Rikus Curie. Special Vehicles off-road champion Evan Hutchison and Greg Gericke in the hot seat were fresh from a class podium on the previous event in their motorized Toyota Runnix, but the engine expired in stage 4. Ken Subert and Henny Boertes in the Salom VW Polo drove well and took over the lead after stage 5, but relinquished it to Adrian Karth after the first forest stage of the rally. Nico Higgs and Menno Havelaar in the HRD Racing Toyota Runnix occupied a podium position for a while, but they got overhauled by former Northern Regions champion Michael Otto and Armand de Toey in the Barlow World Toyota Corolla. Class A 7 points leaders Chris de Wit and Dean Redlinghuis in the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix were in the battle, but the organisers excluded de Wit for running on slick tyres that were not specified in the rules. Class A6 was once again a dogfight between the Panhard Seeds VW Polo of Stefan Walken and Llewellyn Fourie, the Total Evolution Toyota Corolla of Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin, and the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix of class veterans and point leaders Craig Trott and Tony Ball. Wilken set the initial pace on the tar stages, but Musa overtook him in the forest to hold the overnight lead. The Sasol Toyota Yaris in Class A5 for 1300 and 1400 cars was extremely quick on the opening day of the VW Rally. Dave Compton and Paul Leslie took the lead on the opening stage of the day and held onto it until they lost 5 minutes in the bushes of the Longmoor Forest. They recovered to finish the day in third. The Team Techwood Toyota Taz of Char Conradi and Tian Rabe had no such problems and took the class lead in stage 6. Stephen Mearns and Kieran Noonan's multi-purpose cement Toyota Taz didn't miss a beat all day and finished the first day second in class. Class Championship points leaders Andre Kleinwerk and Des de Fortier in their BP Ultimate 30 Golf were running in a podium position early on, but like with Chris de Wit in Class A7, the Golf was excluded for having the wrong tyres. Class N3 for production cars with an engine capacity up to 2 litres was as always a dogfight between the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix of Rodney Versage and Caroline Swan, the Sasol Toyota Runnix of Etienne de Toey and Patrick Vermaak, the class points leaders Costa Komantarakis and Louw Zietsman, and the Ford Racing Fiesta of Etienne Lawrence and Aldrin Coetzee. De Toey took the lead from Versage after stage 3 and finished the day with a 27-second class lead. Second in class was the Fiesta of Lawrence and Coetzee, still chasing their first class win since moving from the top S2000 class. For the first time in a few events, there was more than one entry in Class N2. Rian and his wife Estie Erasmus were comfortably leading from the Team React Mitsubishi Lancer of Stephen White and Jonathan Bright. So after a warm dinner on an icy cold evening, the teams had one more run on a short tar stage, this time on the streets of Jeffreys Bay. The stage was only 1.5 kilometers long and didn't really have any impact on the overall standings, but a great opportunity for the crowds to get up close and personal with the sights, sounds and even smells of rally cars in full flight. The risk of hitting a pavement and losing a wheel is much higher than the reward of gaining valuable seconds, so the times were close. And it was almost fitting that Keen and Cronje, the pace setters all day, shared the fastest stage time, albeit by only 2 seconds from Habig and Wilken. Mark Cronje goes to bed on the Friday night as the leader of the 25th Volkswagen Rally by a full 19 seconds. The polos of Keen and Habig are definitely still within striking distance, but the first stage in the Longmoor Forest managed to open up large gaps on the leaderboard. Latergan is the overnight production car leader. After J-Bay, it was back to Port Elizabeth for a well-deserved rest. If one stage in the Longmoor Forest on the Friday of the event can cause so much havoc, imagine what 4 stages on the Saturday could do. See you after the break. Nearly 140 kilometers on the final day, the 25th Volkswagen Rally had a very early and cold start on the Saturday morning. The first cars were allowed to leave the Park Firma area at Port Elizabeth's Kings Beach at 6:45, before having to travel the 70 kilometers to return to more punishment in the Longmoor Forest. The rules in Sasol South African rallying state that the top 8 drivers on day 1 get to choose their respective starting positions for day 2. In most rallies, it is almost always a disadvantage to be the first car on the road. On the opening day of each event, this burden belongs to the championship points leader. On day 2, it usually belongs to the driver in 8th position, but not this time. Everyone seemed to have a different strategy. Rally leader Mark Cronje chose to be the 5th driver to tackle the infamous forest.
Hoping that, that out of sight, out of mind, they're not sure, have to push hard, so we'll see. I'm hoping that they're going to start damaging their cars pushing, so we'll see what goes.
For some reason, Enzo Keen wanted to be the sweeper.
Yes, I think that we're doing a lot of repeats today, and the concern was breaking up of the road even further. The organisers have been confined to only one part of the forest, so they're using specific parts of the stages and rerunning them up to 3 or 4 times. So I think that was the reason we chose to be first.
Third place Habich was happy to hold his position.
Yeah, in that third, I think is always a little bit more comfortable. You've got the guys in front of you that have basically found the route. Sometimes you can use a bit of their brake markers. Just makes it just slightly easier, I think.
It's just after 7 o'clock and it's freezing cold, but the crowds are out nonetheless, and we're back in the Longmore Forest for a second day of real gravel road racing. And if you think of what damage 44 kilometers caused to the stand of the rally or the field yesterday, can you imagine what 130 kilometers and 4 stages will do today? Stage 8, or the first stage of day 2 of the Volkswagen Rally, would be a 32.3 kilometer test of both speed and endurance. The great rally drivers of the past and present usually use the first stage on the second morning to make a move and to get the first psychological blow in. The BP Ultimate Polo of Keenan Hodgson looked fast as it consumed each of the stage's 32 kilometers. But as the former champion was the first car on the road, he would have to wait and see if his time of 23 minutes and 51 seconds would hold out. With their drama late on day 1, Fecken and Aries were determined to make up the time they lost. This is usually where Fecken makes his move, and the BP Ultimate Polo crossed the flying finish in a time of 23 minutes and 33 seconds, or 18 seconds faster than his teammate. The third of the BP Polos emerged at the end of the stage unscathed. The time set by Habich and Judd was just 1 second slower than the current fastest time by the flying Fecken. Van Niekerk and Houten won course for yet another solid finish. The Pretoria businessman wasn't going to risk anything and crossed the flying finish in a respectable time of 24 minutes and 14 seconds. Next up, rally leaders Mark Cronje and Robert Paisley in the Castrol Toyota Runnix. So far, Cronje spoiled the Volkswagen party, and the question was what he was going to do on this crucial stage. The answer? Destroy the opposition. Cronje blitzed through the stage in a winning time of 23 minutes and 8 seconds and stretched his overall lead to almost a minute. Halfway through the 32-kilometer stage, Cronje already opened up a comfortable gap over Fecken. A few minutes later, Cronje reached the flying finish, while Fecken still had 25 seconds of flat-out driving to do. The Williams Polo was locked in a battle with the Van Niekerk Runnix, but John and Father Douglas lost out in stage 8, losing 27 seconds to their rivals. This is halfway through the first stage of Saturday morning, and the last car to have come through this corner was John Williams. But now a huge gap has appeared, and we've just got a message that Nicholas Ryan has rolled his car and they've stopped the stage. This became clear when the rest of the field started to emerge from the forest at normal speeds. Something was seriously wrong.
Looks like he hit a bit of a crest with a rock on it, launched the car, landed, and I think he hit the left-hand bank and threw him into the bushes on the right-hand side. The car's pretty total. His navigator's obviously got a broken leg at least. Nick seems okay, cuts and bruises, but there was a bit of a fire. So we all stopped. Obviously all the fire extinguishers got all pulled out and put out the fire, and whatever we could do to help the guys. And by the time the medics got there, which was pretty quick. I was very impressed. The medics arrived very, very quickly.
We were first on the scene there with Nicholas's accident. His car's quite bad, it's in the trees. The skulk was out the car when we got there, and Nicholas was staggering in the trees there with his board. Peter fortunately saw it. We stopped and assisted them, got our fire extinguisher out, tried to put out the fire, but it was still going.
I think Nick might have been pushing a little bit hard over quite a rough section after yesterday's, the repeat, you know, the ground's been cleared away. So the jump was a lot worse, and they might have been going a bit quick, probably 150, 160 odd.
Maybe the best person to tell us exactly what happened is Nicholas Ryan himself.
It was, I was deciding to push on the stage a little bit, and we hit the sump rock, about 100 meters back, and it picked up the back end, but it was at full pace. Picked up back end, and we knocked ourselves into the left-hand rock here, so it veered off to the left, and spun around, landed in the bushes here. His foot is unfortunately broken, so he's not feeling that good at the moment. I think he felt better when the morphine went into him. But the car is strong, really. It saved us both, kept us alive, if anything. So it's a big shock. It's a big knock. So I'm happy we're here. I'm happy I'm standing. I'm happy Skulk's well. He's going to be out for a while, but we're not going to give up here.
The rally fraternity wishes Skulk van Heerden a speedy recovery and hopes that the talents of Nicholas Ryan in the Philips Toyota Runnings will soon be back on the stages and entertaining the crowds as they do. So as you can see, rallying is scary stuff. Going that fast on dirt roads and doing all of that in a car that looks almost exactly the same as a normal Runnings or Polo that's parked in your garage at home. But what exactly is the difference between a Super 2000 rally machine and a normal Runnings or Polo? A week before the start of the rally, we paid a visit to Toyota Motorsport, close to the Toyota Motor Corporation head offices in Wynberg, Gauteng. In here, a total of 30 engineers and technicians work full-time on Toyota's motorsport program, a part of which is to design, build and maintain the 3 Castrol Toyota Runnixes competing in the top S2000 class of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. The biggest difference between this Runnix and the one parked in your garage at home is undoubtedly the price tag. The one at home probably set you back around 150,000. This one is closer to 1.5 million, or 10 times as much. And that makes this the most expensive Runnix in the world. But if you are a factory team like Toyota and Volkswagen and your aim is to beat the competition in your quest to become Sasol South African Rally champions, then you can start mentioning the words value for money and a 1.5 million rand Runnix in the same breath. Remember, Super 2000 is regarded as the formula of the future. There are even talks of these machines replacing the costly WRC cars as a top class in world rallying. The reasons? Well, they are much more affordable, and cheaper doesn't necessarily mean less spectacular. So what is different from a regular Runnix?
Yeah, everything's different. It's got a 2-liter engine in that you don't get in the Runnixes here. It's got a 6-speed sequential 4-wheel drive gearbox. It's got different suspension, it's different fuel tank. The body gets welded, fitted with a roll cage, and gets stiffened a lot. So yeah, it's a completely different car.
And all of that makes a Super 2000 extremely fast over basically any terrain. The Super 2000 accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in around 5 seconds and can reach speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour over bumps and rough stuff that will rip the chassis and wheels off your regular Runnix. Every S2000 is a masterpiece and the result of hours of meticulous designing and engineering.
Okay, this is the drawing office. When we design a new car like the Auris, every component gets drawn up first. We will sit around the table and have a design meeting of whatever we want to design, and we will get the part drawn up. That part will get, if it's not too complicated, manufactured right here in our workshop. Once it's manufactured, we'll see if it fits and see if we need to make changes on it.
The heart of any car is its engine. An S2000 makes use of a normally aspirated 2-liter. Toyota's engines are built right here in the engine room and develops around 200 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque. It's a high-revving engine with a rev limiter set at 8,500 RPM. Although these can probably last a little bit longer, they don't take any chances. Each 200,000 rand engine gets a complete rebuild after every 4 rallies. That's only after about 2,500 kilometers, of which around 1,000 were special stage kilometers.
Yeah, this is a Runnix engine block. It's taken 3 days to get the block like this, to get it polished and cleaned up and painted and everything. And from here, it takes another week to get the engine fully assembled and ready for the dyno to get run in.
The sequential gearbox on an S2000 is equally as impressive and requires no clutch to change gears. It's also called a crash box, and with good reason, as after dropping the clutch to pull away, you can simply crash it into the next gear, saving a lot of time in the process. Nowadays, they also make use of a gear cut system that cuts the fuel supply and reduces the timing in order to achieve even faster and smoother gear changes. With no need to depress the clutch during downshifts, a driver's left foot is free to operate the brakes, which is a whole different story for another day. Well, that was last week, or less than a week before the start of the Volkswagen Rally. We've now come down to Uitenhage to VW Racing, and this is now Wednesday afternoon, or less than a day before the cars will have to be presented to the scrutineers, and on Friday morning, the rally starts. Which means that these almost brand new BP Ultimate Polos will once again be manhandled by Volkswagen's top Super 2000 drivers, Hergen Fecken, Jan Habig and Enzo Keen. As with the Toyotas, the Polos are also Super 2000s, which means that the rules for engine specifications are the same. So, once again, we're talking of around 200 kilowatts. But with a Volkswagen and Toyota rivalry as intense as it is, one will never know exactly how strong each of the engines are. That sort of information is kept secret, as every kilowatt counts. These kilowatts are measured in Volkswagen's own engine dynamometer, where every engine is run in for 6 hours after every rebuild. But as far as the gearboxes are concerned, it's a level playing field, as the rules determine that every Super 2000 must make use of the same French-manufactured SADF sequential gearbox in order to save costs. So with the rally only a day away, these guys have already completed all the tasks of rebuilding the engines, the gearboxes, the whole car for that matter. But it's not nearly the end of all the hard work.
We have catering service, we have people traveling to look at the rally from the timing for us and feeding information to me, where we make decisions on what we still can do more. I mean, it's just the background things that you guys never know of. I mean, I've got spotters in the forest that will time cars at a certain point to see how we're doing with pace.
Volkswagen Racing has around 25 people working on the team. With extra help needed just before and during a rally, this number grows to about 40, with each person's task instrumental to the overall objective of winning a rally. These tasks are carefully planned, strategies are drawn up and meetings are held, all to ensure that the team works as a well-oiled machine during the rally. During an event, the team must be able to basically rebuild a car at every service. To do this, a number of service vans are meticulously packed with everything from spare gearboxes to suspension components, brakes, fuel, tires, and every other possible consumable. Volkswagen will take around 48 gravel and slick tires for each of their 3 Super 2000 rally cars to the Volkswagen Rally. Once everything is packed, their giant truck will carry around 26 tons of equipment, including the 3 Polos, and will be worth around 15 million rand.
This is their home event. They know everybody from the factory is going to be out there. The MD is going to be there. Our boss is going to be there. And so the pressure is enormous. However, everybody knows what they have to do. And I think that has been the success of this team over the last 3 years.
So no wonder that the start of a rally is such a tense affair. For all these guys, it's the culmination of weeks of hard work. But now it's up to the drivers and the navigators to keep the car in one piece. So after 8 of the 13 stages, the BP Ultimate Volkswagens were all 3 near the top of the leaderboard. But at the very top, Cronje was making his mark in the Castrol Toyota Runx. Remember, Volkswagen spoiled Toyota's party at their own event earlier in the year. And with a 56-second lead, Cronje was doing his best to return the favor. Wilken inherited the production car lead thanks to the demise of Hein Latergan, who failed to start stage 8 due to engine trouble. Visser du Plessis was within striking distance, and Adrian Karth occupied a top 10 position in his Class A7 Polo.